priest instructed the first woman in the world who married as she took her vows, "On your mark, get set, go." She has been running ever since. This is a poem from the collection Stri Sukta or Ode to Women by Ashwini Dhongde. Most poems in this collection are of women who have been thus running all their lives, to save their jobs, to manage their homes, to maintain relations, to fulfill their responsibilities as mothers, to comply with the societal norms of being a woman. These women are well educated, accomplished, ambitious, and also loving and caring. New horizons beckon them every minute. Their wings too have strength, but the social circumstances are not conducive to the growth and progress of these new age women. Their society is not yet convinced that a woman is as independent and capable as an individual as a man. That is why the lives of these women are a tightrope walk, a running around, a little progress, and plenty of conflict. Dhongde has effectively portrayed this life of a middle class woman in the decades of the 70s and 80s in Maharashtra through her poems. Today, in the 93rd episode of Granthayatra, we are going to explore this very book. Ashwini Dhongde was born in Pune in the year 1947. Her father, D.K. Barve, was a professor of Marathi, a writer, and the founder of Dilip Raj publication. Dhongde naturally developed a taste for literature in her childhood. While studying in college, she began to write articles for newspapers. After completing her master's in English literature, she joined the SNDT College as a teacher. Later, she completed her PhD on the theme of linguistic analysis of commercial display advertisements. Dhongde wrote poetry, novels, short stories, travelogues, criticism, and contemplative articles and stories for children. Her first collection of poetry, Stri Sukta, was published in 1988. The book Samagra Stri Sukta contains select poems from her 4 poetry collections. These poems portray the transparent and all-encompassing parameters of women's lives, Dhongde writes in the preface to this book. In her poem Who Are You?, which showcases the difference between the woman in reality and the portrayal of women in literature, Dhongde writes, "Who are you, lady? I am a flower to my husband. Who are you, lady? I am mother to 2 children. Who are you, lady? I am the handmaid of elders." Giving a glimpse of the tiresome and hard life of a married woman, Dhongde writes, "She has long forgotten the song. All she remembers are the tables. She has long forgotten poetry. All she knows are calculations." In the poem The List, Dhongde uses the stream of consciousness technique to unravel the train of thoughts in the mind of a woman exhausted by her daily chores. Rice 5 kg, wheat 10 kg, electricity bill has to be paid, bathing soap 2 bars, cumin seeds 100 grams, the same list year on year, boredom 1 kg, frustration 2 kg. Women from all social strata and from all age groups face several common problems. Highlighting this fact, Dhongde writes, "Some in the marsh, some on the ground, all trapped in the net abound. Some laugh, some cry, but all in the pan to fry. Some in the bowl, some on the stone, but all in the grind somehow." The period when Dhongde wrote these poems saw women being educated, having jobs, and gaining an awareness of their plight. But the society's attitude towards women had not changed, even when relationships were given sweet labels. Dhongde's poem Machine describes this situation with blunt frankness. "For sale, an eager, hard-working, good-looking, living young machine. It cooks, it washes clothes, goes to work and earns money, keeps the house clean and tidy. If at all it breaks down, keeps blabbering, A couple of slaps enough for repairing. Cost is not too high either. Daily meals are enough for her. The exasperation that women are objectified not only within the context of personal or family relations, but even in the social and commercial context is revealed in her poem Feminism. Festive issues of magazines are sold on the size of the woman on cover. Who cares for content of write-ups? Stories are judged by accompanying pictures. Dongde also boldly asserts that the regressive attitude of men is responsible for the struggles of the middle-class educated woman. In her poem 100 Years, she writes, "After she was bound by vows of the wedding, at an alert moment she realized it's been 100 miles that she's been running, but he's still standing at the same place unchanged." And what is the kind of woman that such a man wants? Highly educated, working, who hands over her salary to him. The fault does not lie solely with men, but even women have been brought up with the same regressive attitudes. Dongde writes, "She feels privileged when sacrificed for his pleasure." Dongde's poems also reflect the contemporary incidents and happenings. When Roopkawar, a young woman in Rajasthan, committed sati, which means she was burnt alive on the pyre of her husband, Dongde wrote, "You who build temples for satis, please do not degrade the humanness of woman to such an extent." She thus underlines the fact that the woman who was burnt alive was a human being. Although they mirror the stark reality, Dongde's poems are not fatalistic. She believes that women should realize their inner strength and live their lives like humans. In her poem, At the Threshold of Marriage, she writes, "Do not be naive in your new home or overwhelmed, but keeping your eyes open, assess all, including your husband." The poet does not want the woman in her dreams to lead a life defined by men. In her poem, At Least Once, she writes, "For once she wants to live, breathing free like a human, wander through the crowds of men, forgetting touch and its association." In her poem For Herself, she writes, "For what? For whom? For what? For whom? For a moment, with abandon, to be herself, to live." Reiterating the fact that as an individual, a woman is in no way a lesser being and that she is complete by herself, Dongde writes, "The boundary of my joy is my existence. The reach of my mind is my horizon. I may or may not exist. Encompassing myself, I shall remain unstated, free, yet physically intense. Unfettered by your tethers is my essence." In her poem, Dongde uses imagery that is contemporary and closely associated with women's lives. Through phrases such as smoldering like steam emerging from a pressure cooker, "A wife should be a wife like a two-wheeler running quietly with her brakes in the hands of her driver. Live like a non-stick pan." The poet deftly unfolds the experiential world of a middle-class woman. In addition, she portrayed typical physical and emotional feminine experiences such as pregnancy, birth of a child, mother-daughter relationship, distance creeping into the later years of a marriage, loneliness in the late years of life through her poems. One of her poems is actually addressed to the monthly periods. "At times you arrived when waiting for the climax of pleasure, like a wall of curse to a woman's life. At times you came like a shield to avoid the unwanted, but come you did each time like the wise flow of a river." The women in the 70s and 80s, caught between a new wakefulness and a widening horizon of ambitions on the one hand, and the confinements they faced in real life on the other, were beginning to find a voice of their own. The feminist movement on the international stage had begun to reach the middle class in India. As a result, at least in principle, people had begun to accept the call for gender equality in order to be seen as progressive. Dongde's poems showcase the distance that still remained to be covered on this path. Writing about the women's page in weekend newspapers, she writes, "For the complaining women, tempering of a short essay strewn with feminist words, but not too spicy, enough to give a taste of progressiveness." In the preface to this book, Dongde writes, "Men, as well as several women, have a hidden fear about words such as women's liberation and feminism. Firmly entrenched beliefs that feminist women are those who are unsatisfied and unsuccessful in their own married lives, those who are out to break other families, those who incite docile women, those who advocate promiscuous relationships, and that they are primarily vocal against men, intent on revenge against men, and are unfair to men, have led to consolidation of anti-feminist opinions." Consistent efforts by many progressive feminist thinkers from diverse fields are gradually dispelling these misconceptions. Ashwini Dongde's poems were instrumental in a big way in bringing about this change in Marathi literature. To talk to us more about these poems, we have with us today none other than the poet herself. Please welcome Dr. Ashwini Dongde.
Stree Sukta, or Ode to Women, is my first collection of poetry. These poems are interlinked as there is an invisible string among them. The life of a middle class woman is at the center of this collection. A woman comes under my observation inside out in this poetry collection. Her life has become complicated by sexual harassment and other mundane practical problems of day-to-day life. It is difficult for a woman to transcend these hindrances and become a liberated person. She wants to look after her family like a dutiful wife, observing all the rituals, festivals, and hospitality. On the other hand, she aspires to be a career woman and wants to get a lot of promotions. She wants to find new horizons. I have two wings. They have strength to fly. Sky is limitless. From far away comes a cry. I soar up high and raise myself to unfathomable blue. This is an exhaustive journey. She forgets that once she was a girl full of romantic ideas of love. The mundane practicality has thrown away all her tenderness. Love becomes just a ritual. All the tenderness of love has lost. She has also lost the happiness in living, and her singing mind is also lost. Everyone takes her to granted, whether she is in the mood or not. She is like a machine for sale, which, if breaks down, is repaired for a slap. She has lost her identity. She asks a question to herself, "Who are you, lady?" And her answer is, "I myself don't know." Or the question is asked to her. A girl had entered this house with dreams in her eyes. Where does she stay? Her answer is, she is lost. Another dimension of a woman's life is her image in society and media. She is looked as a woman and not as an individual here. Heroines are depicted as extremely tender and beautiful, and they are protected from Evil by a He-Man. Glossy women magazines publish scantily clad women, and no one objects to these exhibited objects of desire. Society in general has become insensitive to the harassment and rapes over women. There are poems in this collection that depict the explanation of women, that depict the exploitation of women in various forms, sometimes so silently that even women are not aware that they are being exploited. I have used some untraditional poetic forms in this book, such as news, reports, commercial classified ads, collage of news, list of grocery, etc. It was not done on purpose, but was an organic process dictated by the content of the poem. The intention was to reach exactly to my readers. In conclusion, my poems paint an optimistic picture to bring a change in women's life, which is full of drudgery and monotony. It seems we still have a long way to go to attain equality.
I am confident that you will love reading Ashwini Dhongde's poems that not only celebrate feminism but exude humanism by pointing out that women are basically human beings. Do let us know your reactions to these poems by posting in the comment section of Granth Yatra. In the next episode of Granth Yatra, we shall meet to explore a famous realistic novel. Until then, keep reading.